What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you're well. My name is Mark, and today we're covering some more r/am I the butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below, but if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. A huge thank you to each and every one of you for taking the time out of your day to come here. Really appreciated. And with that being said, let's just crack on with today's stories. Much love, guys. Our first story comes from Little Mushroom King. Am I the arsehole for wearing a sexual hairstyle? Boyfriend 22 male and I 21 female have been going steady for a year now. I'm somewhat nerdy and like video games, so recently he downloaded Tekken 7 for us to play. I'm not the biggest Tekken fan, but I was more than happy to have something to do with him. There's this character in Tekken called Julia that my boyfriend thinks is hot. He said I could easily cosplay as her, which surprised me because my boyfriend normally thinks cosplay is silly. I was flattered and thought maybe my boyfriend was implying something a little kinky, so I decided to surprise him with a Julia cosplay. A week of planning, thrifting and sewing went by and the outfit was complete. The day before I started to work on the hair. I have long curly brown hair, so I cut it a little bit shorter, straightened it and then braided it to match Julia's hair. Mid-length braided pigtails. The next morning I woke up and practiced the braids again, then went to my Zoom class. I didn't really change my hair, so I received some compliments from my classmates about how they liked the new style. After class I went to the store. Later I got dressed in the cosplay, made sure my hair was nice, put on a hoodie and some sweats to cover it. I pulled my hood up to hide the hair, then got a ride over to my boyfriend's. I texted him that I had a surprise. He opened the door and asked what the surprise was, so I told him I'd give him a hint and pulled down my hoodie. His face went red and he asked why I had my hair like that. Before I could tell him it was for a cosplay, he started yelling and if I had worn my hair like that all day. He began fuming when I told him yes. He yelled at me and said that my hairstyle was inappropriate and that wearing it to my Zoom class had basically been an invitation for men to stare at me because pigtails are too sexual to wear at school. He got angrier when I slipped up and said I'd worn them to the store. I tried to explain that it was for the Julia cosplay and I wanted to surprise him, but he wasn't having it. He said that I was a whore for wearing in my hair in such a way. My friend told me that I'm the arsehole for wearing my hair like that because the whole idea of me dressing up was based on a kinky look. Even if I wasn't trying to appear sexy and didn't wear the cosplay itself during school/in public, men who saw me were probably getting the wrong idea. My boyfriend hasn't spoken to me since. I don't understand what I did wrong. I thought he wanted this, and now he's complaining my idea has made my hair shorter too, which he doesn't like. Also, he deleted Tekken 7 and says we aren't playing it anymore. Am I the arsehole for wearing my hair like this, / not seeing how it could be sexual on its own? Now, I haven't played Tekken since my arcade days, so we're going to have a look at a picture here. And looking at this, you know, these pigtails, they don't immediately jump out at me as like, oh god, that's a very sexual hairstyle. What even is a sexual hairstyle? And the fact that you went through all this effort to try to make him happy and then it was just unappreciated is just unbelievable. And if your boyfriend is walking around like supermarkets in everyday life and looking at people with pigtails as a sexual hairstyle, that boy got some serious issues that he needs to deal with ASAP. I'd get out of that one if I was you, but that's just my opinion, not the arsehole. Let's see what the comments say. Not the arsehole, run far away. If he's that controlling over a hairstyle, he will try other things next. The way you dress, who you talk to, etc. This is a huge red flag. High Impact says not the arsehole, there's no such thing as a sexual hairstyle. Your boyfriend sounds like he's insecure. Final Feeling says, not the arsehole, hair in braids isn't sexual. If a man gets uncontrollably excited over a hairstyle, that's a him problem, not a you problem. Your boyfriend sounds like a repressed, controlling arsehole. You sure you want to be dating him? Mikey Weasel says, not the arsehole, your friend is an arsehole. Is this really your friend or your boyfriend's friend? And this was a huge old red flag with your boyfriend. How many others have you ignored so far? OP replies to this saying, this is the first I've noticed. He was always really honest and never angry, but in recent days I've noticed comments he's making online about this stuff, and his sister told me he's been complaining to her about it, which is new. Definitely reconsidering the relationship now, and definitely going to have to reassess any red flags I may have missed. Also, the friend I spoke to is one of them born again religious chicks, so looking back I realised not the most empathetic audience to bring up the situation to. Whew. Now, what would you do if your boyfriend or girlfriend started going on about your hairstyle being sexual in any manner? How would you deal with that? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 1. And our next story is from Am I the Arsehole Grandparents? Am I the arsehole for not letting my dead friend's parents see their grandson? I, 31 female, was best friends with Alexis, deceased 3 months ago, 31 female. We've been friends since we were 9-10. Alexis was a single mum of 2, a daughter who was born deaf and is now 11, and a son who is 6. Alexis never had anything nice to say about her parents. She was kicked out of her home at 16 and ended up living with my family because, as her dad said to mine, she's old enough to sort her own shit out, and that she was a waste of space. She ended up going no contact with her parents after that. About 4 years ago, her parents reached out to rekindle a relationship, and she agreed to let them meet her and her kids. The rekindled relationship only lasted for a month because her parents were rude towards her daughter, calling her an arse slur, and saying she would have been better off born dead. They also showed clear favouritism towards her son, would buy him expensive gifts, and ignored her daughter. Alexis got sick of their behaviour, gave them 3 warnings, and then went no contact again. About 2 years ago, Alexis was diagnosed with an advanced stage of ovarian cancer. She had an immediate hysterectomy and started chemo, but it had already spread to several other organs and her spine. We sat down and I agreed to take her kids after she passed. They get along great with my daughter, 7, and my stepson, 11, who has learned ASL so he could talk to Alexis' daughter. In her will, she explicitly stated that she didn't want her parents to have anything to do with her kids. So now Alexis has passed and both kids have moved in with my family. Since the funeral, Alexis' parents have repeatedly reached out and asked to see their grandson. I have repeatedly refused. They have proceeded to slander me all over SM and have been hassling my husband and the kids' schools. My husband agrees I'm doing the right thing, but some of the other parents are divided and say that I'm being cruel, keeping them from their last memory of their daughter. Am I the arsehole for continuing to say no? Well, immediately we've got to come out and say not the arsehole. I mean, you're following Alexis's will, and, you know, from their previous experiences of calling the daughter an arsehole word and saying she would have been better off born dead. I mean, who talks like that about their own grandchildren? They are some nasty, nasty people. So not the arsehole, definitely. But let's have a look at the comments to see what they say. Lies Little Pretty says, not the arsehole. Why would you be? Get legal advice about their harassment, especially with them and the school. Make sure the school knows they have no contact with those children. Like a Hike says, not the arsehole. I noticed they only want access to the grandson, not the granddaughter. They're still the same toxic people. Jay Seng says, not the arsehole. You're literally following her will. File harassment charges. Sparkle.com says, not the arsehole. Talk to an attorney that handled your appointment as guardian about what your rights are and how you can restrain them from harassing you. Jim Jackson's Jamboree says, not the arsehole, and quotes, in her will she explicitly stated she didn't want her parents to have anything to do with their kids, and says, I mean, there's your answer right there. Just Obsolete says, not the arsehole, never the arsehole for protecting children against abuse. Now, what would you do in this situation if you had taken on these kids? Would you file harassment charges? Would you maybe try to rekindle the relationship? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 2. And our next story is from Ra Reddit. Let's go. Am I the arsehole for telling my brother that his wife ruined her own and his life? Today I went with my brother, I call him Sam, to visit his wife, I call her Amanda, in prison. Why she's in there is a long story. Basically, Sam and Amanda are very different people. He's quite a simple man. He's got an okay job, welder, which he enjoys and isn't particularly ambitious. He enjoys just having fun with his family. They have a 4-year-old daughter, Lexi. He's practically a giant child himself and loves just running around and being silly and making Lexi laugh. He's a hopeless romantic who doesn't care what kind of life he lives, so as long as it's with Amanda and Lexi. Amanda is the total opposite. She's very ambitious and a competitive person. She works at a senior executive role at a big company and loves it. She loves the finer things in life. She's got a huge collection of gorgeous clothes, shoes, bags, etc., and always dresses beautifully. Opposites attract in their case, but it's good because they've always brought out the best and stopped the worst in each other. She stopped him from treating everything as fun and games and reminds him to have some ambitions like fitness, etc. He stops her from getting too ambitious and competitive and gives her a lot of support with work stress. I won't say exactly what Amanda did to get sent to prison. All I will say is she went too far in her attempt to reach a goal and crossed a boundary into something illegal. As Amanda was by far the higher earner, they've lost quite a chunk of income since her employment was terminated. They've still got more than enough money saved up, and Sam is on a decent salary. The prison she's in is a 3-hour drive from where they live, but he tries to take Lexi to see Amanda as much as possible. When I saw her in prison, I barely recognised her. She's a shell of the person I knew. Obviously her career is destroyed and she has no idea what to do when she gets out. This is the first time I've seen her since she got locked up, and she was crying her eyes out. Sam was crying with her and hugging her and promising his sweetheart that all would be well. Obviously, I held her hand and told her it would all be okay. But when we left, we're in the car home, I told Sam I didn't feel sorry for his wife at all. She chose to screw people over to get what she wanted. She had a great job, a husband who adored her, and a beautiful child. But that wasn't enough for her. She still wanted more and committed crimes to get it, and that has ruined their lives. Sam was enraged. He dropped me home and told me he doesn't want to hear from me at all unless I apologised. My husband thinks I should, because he's still hurting and missing her. I don't think what I said was wrong. Sam needs to accept his wife's own role in where she's ended up. This is one of those situations where I like to use, and I say it quite often, it's just to pick your battles. Know when to say something, know when not to say something. Sure, you might be right in that situation. She did get herself into it. She did try to screw people over, and that's why she's got it, and she's ruining her own family by doing so. But however, you don't say that. That was not the situation to say it. Why would you? The only thing Sam needed at that point was empathy and saying, yes, you will get through it. You can find a way, and maybe come up with a plan that they can get through it, rather than just say, nah, this is all your fault, sod it. But let's have a look at the comments to see what they say. Crazy comment lady says, you're the arsehole. Read the room. To quote the Big Lebowski, you're not wrong, you're just an arsehole. Intrusive says, you're the arsehole, you're not wrong, but you're still an arsehole. There is a time and place for conversations like that, and you clearly lack the tact to recognise that the car ride home after an emotional meeting was not it. Lion of Arc says, I mean, you're not wrong to feel the way you feel, but you're the arsehole. Way to kick your brother when he's down. Why would you even say something so tactless to him when you know how much he misses his wife? I don't blame him for being angry with you. Keep your opinions to yourself. Customer says, you're the arsehole. Your brother knows that already, but he loves his wife. Their daughter loves her mum, and why would you be so heartless about your brother's suffering? You can be kind to your brother without condoning his wife's crimes. Now, I turn it to you guys. What do you think should happen in this situation? Do you think OP should apologise to her brother? Or do you think, she was right in the end, so she should have said that? Let us know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 3. And our next story is from Room Swap, Am I the Arsehole? Am I the arsehole for trying to force my stepson to move out of his bedroom so my daughter can move in? I've never used this site before, but my daughter uses it pretty regularly and suggested that I post here. I have a daughter and a stepson who I would call Carly and Kyle. Carly 15 and Kyle 18. They've never been particularly close. Kyle tends to avoid myself and Carly like the plague. He hasn't bothered ever trying to build a relationship with us. I've been with Kyle's dad since the kids were 10 and 13, due to some personal troubles which I'll not go into details about. Kyle stays with his dad, though his mother will visit fairly regularly, and they're in constant contact. She of course believes me to be an arsehole in this situation. Kyle has stayed in the attic since I knew him. His parents had the attic converted into a proper bedroom for him when he was around 9 or 10. It's an absolutely stunning room, plenty of space, nice furniture, and is currently inhabited by several dressmaking dummies as he is studying fashion at university. Lately, Carly has been asking me if she can stay with me full time. She and her dad are just not getting on and she prefers living with me. Her dad is absolutely fine with this as he was never really good with her in the first place. This means that the majority of Carly's things will be at our place. She has a lot more things than Carl and would most likely need more space. That's why I thought it'd be a better idea to have Carl move into Carly's slightly smaller bedroom downstairs, and Carly can move right into the attic bedroom. I even offered to pay Carl for whatever he wants for his new bedroom, regarding wallpaper, paint, posters, etc., as I know it's a bit of a change for him. Carl is not a fan of the idea and has been complaining about how he needs the space to work on his uni projects. I told him that he is more than welcome to use the dining room as well, as we rarely use it, and we can clean out one of the storage cupboards to store the dummies in. Carl's partner is also not a fan of this, although I'm almost 100% sure that this is just because in the attic bedroom they can do whatever teenagers do without interruption. I think that Carl is being a bit over dramatic about this, as I'm not kicking him out onto the street, just into a smaller bedroom, which I've offered to decorate for him. His father is not completely sold on the idea but is slowly coming around. He also thinks that Carl is being a bit dramatic regarding the room situation. Carl's mother and girlfriend, and of course Carl himself, all think that I'm being an arsehole. Am I the arsehole? Edit, the people who are bringing up Kyle paying rent, he pays us £100 dig money per month. He wanted to start paying rent to help his dad out. We did not force him, and we will be expecting Kylie to start paying rent when she's old enough too, so that Carl is not singled out. Yes, Carl's dad did cheat on his ex with me. His ex was in a bad place and put a lot of stress on Carl's dad. I'm not long divorced my husband, Carly's dad, and was in a bad place. We got drunk and did something stupid. Neither of us intended for it to turn into anything more, but it did. I regret my comment about how Carl's mum should have had got her shit together. I was a bit stressed when I wrote that. Lastly, regarding the absurd claims that I am biphobic/homophobic, I am not. My brother is a gay man and one of my best friends is a bisexual gentleman. Carl's relationship up until this point have barely made it past 2 months. He sleeps around when he's not in a relationship with someone. Thankfully not in the house, as that can be dangerous. I do not want Kylie to think this behaviour is okay, as I know how dangerous it can be. Kylie is not my son, he's made that abundantly clear, but I have provided him with condoms in the past to make sure he stays safe. I don't want Kylie to start acting like him. Finally, you'll all be glad to know I'm not pushing the subject any further. Carl can keep his room. I'll just tell Kylie she's going to have to get rid of her belongings. Thank you. In some ways in this story, it just comes across as like favoritism towards your daughter, because you offered a solution for Kyle to move downstairs and have the downstairs room, and he can use some of the dining room space and a cupboard there to store away some of his stuff. Why can't that be used for your daughter? It's that simple, really. You know, you could just do it the other way around. But this just comes across as like favouring your own child, which makes no sense at all. And I can understand why Carl would be upset with this. If someone told me to move, if I had the attic bedroom and I was working on uni projects, had these dummies out and it was an ideal space for me, then I would be cross too. If someone came in, someone moved into the house and said, all right, you got to move out because I need this room now because I got more stuff than you. Get rid of some of your stuff. Simple as. But let's have a look at the comments below to see what they say. KKSRZ says, you're the arsehole, you can't kick him out because you want your daughter to have his room. You give her what's available. Such a terrible thing you're trying to do. Cinderella Has Fallen says, you're the arsehole. This has been his room for years. Now you want to favour your own child. This is his space. He needs it for his studies. All of his points are valid. You're playing favourites and wanting to give your daughter the bigger room. Your reasoning makes zero sense. Oh, she has more things. But then go, well, he can store his stuff downstairs. Yeah, so can she. Balding B says, you're the arsehole. This is Kyle's personal space. It's what he knows. It's where he feels comfortable and safe. You're taking that away from him to give it to your daughter. You say that you're not close. I'm not surprised. There's obvious favoritism here, and it's just going to drive an even larger wedge between everyone. Put your daughter in the smaller room, leave Carl his own space and freedom, and if she has too much stuff, she either needs to get rid of it, or those storage cupboards can be cleared out and the dining room utilised for her instead. It's his house. She's the newcomer. He shouldn't have his life upended so she can be more comfortable. I'm guessing you have the master bedroom. How about you give that up for your daughter instead? KM Bright says, you're the arsehole, and I can't believe you even have to ask. Why should your stepson have to move out of a bedroom that was specifically converted for him and has been his bedroom since he was a child? Just because your 15-year-old has a lot of stuff, put her stuff in the storage cupboards. Let your stepson continue having the space he needs to do his schoolwork, and to be less obvious in the future about which of your kids you favour. And finally, NBC says, you're the arsehole. I can't help but feel, had the roles been reversed, Carl was staying in his other parent and wanted to move into your home, and your daughter was living with you and had the attic bedroom, that you wouldn't ask your daughter to move out of her room into the smaller bedroom to accommodate Carl and his things. He's been in that bedroom for half his life. I'm sure he'd be annoyed to have to move bedrooms. I'm sure being a teenager and wanting privacy with his girlfriend is a big part as well. I also do believe that he's probably being dramatic about it, but if you put yourself in his shoes, you couldn't have thought he'd just be elated with the idea, especially if he's not super friendly with you and your daughter. I think it's wrong for him to move out of the childhood bedroom to accommodate your daughter, and it just doesn't seem fair. Since he was there first and he's older, and in households with kids, the older child usually has the bigger room anyways. I understand you wanted the best for your biological daughter, but I think Carl has every right to not like this idea, and I'd fight to keep my space too. Now, what do you guys think of this story? Do you think the daughter should be allowed the attic bedroom? Or do you think Kyle should keep it? Or do you think of another solution? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 4. Once again, guys, thank you for being here today. I hope you did enjoy today's stories, and if you did, you know what to do. Please hit that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. You can also support the channel either through YouTube membership or head on over to Patreon, or very, very helpful at this point in time as we're converting around Christmas time to part-time YouTube, hopefully. Thank you for being here, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care. Much love.